Yeah, hello everyone. Very good afternoon. Hope you're all having a great Saturday. So can I get some thumbs up if you guys are able to hear me? So all good. Hopefully everything is good at your end. So I think we are more or less ready to begin this masterclass. So in this session, what we want to cover is more or less we want to discuss around how to go about building your career in data science, right? Especially in 2024. So there's going to be like a really fun session, and we are going to have a lot of interaction. So please stay tuned until the end of the session. You're going to learn a lot about the field and how to navigate your career overall, right? So yeah, so I think what we can do is basically this is the agenda for today, more or less, right? So what we want to discuss what is data science first, right? That is what we'll begin with, and then we'll try to understand how to think about the data science roadmap, right? So what's your learning roadmap going to be? How do you want to sort of go about it? So we'll try to cover that. Then we'll move on to the different kind of job roles which are available in the field of data science, and what are the skills that these job roles require, right? So we'll do a really um, we'll do some searches on Google and see what are companies sort of looking for, right? Then one thing that I want to really cover is how to excel in industry, right? So let's say you become a data analyst, right? Or you become a data scientist, right? So now you're thinking about how to go about your career progression, right? So how to excel in industry, because industrial knowledge or domain knowledge is like pretty important in data science. And that is something that I also want to sort of cover, right? Then at the end, what I will do, I will give you a good preview of our flagship data science course, right? So that you guys can get all the idea about how to go about this course, or how what to think about this course, right? And then at the end will be open for Q&A. So meanwhile, what you can guys do, if you have any questions, you can put them in the Q&A, and we'll pick up from there. All right. So before we even go ahead and talk about what is data science, I want to essentially share my personal experience in data science. So with you, so that you guys know what I'm trying to even talk about, right? So just to give a bit of background about myself, right? So I entered in IIT Kharagpur in 2012, right? I opted for a BTech in civil engineering. I graduated in 2016, but but fortunately or unfortunately, I didn't end up working in civil domain. But I started working as a data scientist directly, right? So my first job was at American Express. So I just want to basically give you an idea about my overall timeline, as in what I did. And so hang on. So I'll just give you an idea, right? So you can also think about this is like a general trajectory of any data science professional that you'd see, right? So basically, so I have, let's say, so this is, let's say, 2016. This is when I graduated. Wait a second. Uh, right, right. So this is when I graduated, right? I graduated from IIT Kharagpur in 2016, right? Then 2017 October, basically till this time. So between this time, I was working as a risk analyst at American Express, right? So where at American Express, and what kind of work I was doing? So I was doing the risk analytics work in a fraud decision science team, right? So this is a sizable team at Amex, right? So this is where I was working as a risk analyst. So I was more or less working on the transaction fraud model that American Express use it across all the transactions which are happening on their credit cards overall, right? So this was my domain, right? That is how I started with. So of course, my role was risk analyst, right? But I was doing a lot of modeling work as well, right? So we were building models in XGBoost, and we were having like a really huge data set, right, which had millions of rows, and we had like more than 500 variables. So this was a very huge data set. Even in 2016, the training time to train a simple fraud model, it used to take like 3 to 4 days, right? So that was the kind of effort that we were putting in at Amex, right? Now, fast forward 2016, I was in Gurgaon when I was in Amex, right? Then I moved to global analytics, right? So this is where, so I was called analytics scientist, which is in a way to also say data scientist, but this is the name that they had. So analytics scientist at global analytics, right? So this is a very good leading analytics company, right, based out of Noida. So this is where I was working as, and here also I was doing credit and fraud risk, right? So this is what I was doing in basically. So this was my trajectory. So between 2017 and 2018, so I worked there at global analytics for like a year, एक साल काम करा वहां पे. ठीक है, उसके बाद क्या हुआ कि in 2018, at the end of the 2018, I basically I came back to Bangalore overall, right? And I was working with, let's say, HSBC, right? So I worked till the end of 2020. So I was working as a data scientist then. So this was my first role, which actually read data scientist, even though I was doing a lot of modeling work prior to that. But this is where I became data scientist at HSBC, right? So now, what kind of work I was doing? So I was more or less doing a lot of work on the NLP side of things, right? So you guys might have heard about this term NLP, which is short for natural language processing. So overall, what we were doing, we were applying machine learning methods to a lot of textual data that we get in finance, right? So be it earnings call or earnings transcripts that you get for all the public companies who share their earnings report, right? So we were doing a lot of NLP and data science on this kind of data. So essentially, just to summarize, I was doing sell side research for a lot of institutional investors who were associated with HSBC, right? So they would come to HSBC and say that, hey, I want to do something, give us some guidance. So we used to publish research. And one of the research that we published was also published in Bloomberg, right? So Bloomberg is also a really global company, especially in finance, and in terms of how they leverage ML and data in finance. They actually recently also built something called Bloomberg GPT, right? So that is what I was doing, and then 2020 onwards, I co-founded Alma Better along with my co-founders, right? And this is what has been the journey so far, right? So now, more or less, post 2020, so we started in October 2020. That is when we opened our first cohort at Alma Better, and that is what I have been doing. So more or less at Alma Better, I have been working on building the product. So as in the platform that you would be using or using in Alma Better. So that is what I'm involved in, and more or less I'm also involved in on the engineering side of things, right? So it requires a lot of infra and services to build so that we can sustain and manage the entire platform and infrastructure overall. So this is what more or less I'm doing as of now. But I am a really hard AI aficionado. I try to follow up and follow all the latest things which are happening in the field of AI and data science overall. So this is what my journey has been. So hopefully you guys are able to understand how a simple journey of for any data science professional looks like, right? So usually you start in a relatively analytical role, and then you jump your way to a core data science role, a core modeling role, right? Because companies, let's be honest, they are not very um, okay to allowing, let's say, freshers to do core modeling tasks, right? Because that also requires a lot of domain knowledge and data science knowledge. And companies feel that, hey, as a fresher, right, you should understand how the entire data science work goes about. You get some idea, understand how the data is coming, for what kind of process the data is coming, right? Where is my data getting stored, right? Now what I can do on top of it, right? So you try to do some analytical work in the beginning of your career, and then you move on to core ML modeling work, right? We'll also discuss about it, what is ML modeling that I'm talking about, right? But this was overall my journey, right? So is everyone able to understand? I know, am I speaking too fast? I think, yeah, someone is saying. um, are you able to understand how my journey was? Are you guys able to comprehend it? You can do a thumbs up, right? You don't have to write, maybe. Okay, cool. All right. So, right. So this is what my journey was, right? So of course, I picked up doing data science and analytics back in my college in my fourth year, right? That is where I also learned R. So I'll also tell you about the technology that we are using, right? So at Hamex, right, in 2016, we were using SAS, SQL, and later we also used Hive, right? So this is what we were using, right? So SAS tha, SQL tha, Hive tha, but Python was more or less it was not there in the beginning, but started picking up at Amex. But that is the technology that we were more or less working with. Then in global analytics, I was doing all my work in Python. In some of the work was also in R, right? But of course, Python is way better. So that is what we are also teaching in our course. So stick to Python. So but I did a lot of core modeling using Python, build some machine learning models for our credit underwriting engine, and that is what I did, right? At HSBC, again, I was doing Python, more or less, and then the SQL. Of course, SQL was also here at Amex, sorry, at Global Analytics. So I'll just update it. So this is what I was using, more or less. And so this is overall what I have been doing so far, right? So I think, yeah, it's time so that we can go ahead and move. Uh, all right. So let's talk about let's talk about what is data science, right? So that is the first thing that we want to really understand, right? So what is data science? So that is going to be our first uh, yeah, discussion overall. So hang on, you know. So, what is data science, right? So, this is what we want to first understand before we can even go about and talk about data science career, right? So, overall, if I have to write it, data science, right? And I will be sharing this Jamboard PDF with you towards the end of the session, and it will also be mailed to you. But data science is an interdisciplinary field that is very important. So, interdisciplinary field, right? So this is important, right? And interdisciplinary क्यों बोल रहे हैं? So I will just, so which sits at the intersection of, right? It sits at the intersection of major disciplines such as computer science, right? Computer science हो गया, statistics or maths, right? Statistics or maths, and then some domain knowledge, right? Or what we also call as industrial knowledge, right? So let's say कि fintech is a domain, right? For example, I was doing a lot of work in fintech, right? So fintech is a domain. If you have good idea about it, so that is what I'm referring to as domain knowledge. Okay. So this is what data science is, right? इसको और समझते हैं depth में. So let's try to understand it in more depth, right? So overall, ये देखो, एक वेन डायग्राम बना रहे. So you guys might know about Venn diagram, but overall, let's say this is computer science, right? So this is computer science, right? So now let's pick another domain, which is your statistics, right? Statistics or maths overall, right? So this is another domain. So and then we have another domain that I want to highlight. This is called the industrial or domain knowledge, right? So this is the knowledge about the industry or the business you are in, right? So let's say if you're working in an e-commerce company and you're working for, let's say, Flipkart or Myntra. right? So if you have good understanding about how that business runs, right, how is overall that how are you getting the data, if you have a lot of understanding about the business, the platform or the product, how the users are more or less interacting with the platform, so that way you build some domain knowledge, right? So without domain knowledge, you will be you will not be a ripe data scientist, right? So this is the sweet area, right? So this is the sweet area that we call as data science, right? So this is the area that I will highlight, right? This is the area that will call as data science, right? So it is at the intersection of it, right? So this is what I will call as data science, right? So this is data science. सो ओवरऑल अभी देखो कंप्यूटर साइंस में क्या क्या है. सो कंप्यूटर साइंस से क्या क्या आएंगे आपके पास. सो यू विल हैव सम अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ एल्गोरिदम्स फ्रॉम कंप्यूटर साइंस, राइट? So theoretical understanding of how to think about or write your algorithms, right? Then one idea from computer science would be the knowledge of programming, right? So of course will you need to do have good understanding of, let's say, Python programming specialty. But the programming as a field, it belongs to computer science domain overall, or the field, right? Then in statistics or maths, what are we going to learn? So a bit of calculus थोड़ा हो गया, थोड़ा सा linear algebra, right? And you don't have to get scared. These are like very simple topics such as vectors and matrices, which you'd have learned in 11th, but we definitely teach it from scratch, right? So you don't have to worry about it. And then a bit of probability theory, right? Probability theory. And then statistics, right? So these are the areas within statistics or math that I'm talking about, which will be relevant for data science, right? And the domain knowledge, I'm basically talking about, you should have good understanding of industries like, let's say, fintech ho gaya, right? You have e-commerce, right? Maybe you have, let's say, some consumer tech, right? So consumer tech ho sakta hai, for example. So let's say it could be Netflix, it could be YouTube, or it can also be, let's say, Zomato, right? So you can more or less pick. They're like different industries. So there is also, let's say, BFSI, right? So insurance is, let's say, one sector. So BFSI, which is banking, finance, services, and insurance, right? And then you can have other domains like logistics भी हो गया, supply chain हो गया, right? सप्लाई चेन हो गया, इनफैक्ट रिसर्च भी हो गया, साइंटिफिक रिसर्च is also one of the domain, right? So let's say you are a physicist working at a center for European nuclear research, जहाँ पे large hadron collider है. So you also gather a lot of data, and then you can let's say do a lot of data science on that data and try to discover a lot of insights, right? So in fact, the discovery of Higgs boson, right, if you guys remember, so discovery of Higgs boson was only possible due to data science, right? Because LHC is essentially a large experimental box which gives you a lot of data about particle interactions, and that way you are able to do a lot of analysis on that data and identify that and tell that, hey, with some confidence that this is the particle that I'm more or less looking for, or these are the clues I'm getting, right? So overall, डेटा साइंस इज एन इंटरडिसिप्लिनरी फील्ड. एक डोमेन हो गया कंप्यूटर साइंस, एक हो गया स्टैटिस्टिक्स और मैथ्स वाला, एंड एक थर्ड हो गया डोमेन नॉलेज, राइट? वेयर let's say if you're working with any business, you need to understand that domain, right? Without a deeper understanding of the domain, you won't be able to build good data sets, first of all, right? So you won't be able to engineer good variables or features, and that is something that you need to really also focus on, right? So just knowing computer science, as in having good understanding of algorithms and programming, and also, let's say, of maths, is not going to make you a really skilled or accomplished data scientist. You need to also focus on what problem that you're trying to solve, right? So let's say if I'm working at Alma Better and I'm trying to hire, let's say, a data scientist, I would expect that they know, understand overall how this business works, right? How this platform or product works, so that they can uh, do better data science work. That's the whole idea, right? So one second. Right, I don't speak Tamil. That's but I hope English should be you should be able to understand English. All right. So now this is what data science is, right? And now if you I am also giving you another picture about how to think about different fields, right? So आपने सुना होगा data science, सुना है, right? आपने AI सुन रखा है, right? You have also heard about ML, right? You might have also heard about deep learning and all, right? So what are these, right? Let's try to deconstruct these and then see what are these overall, right? So देखो, so there is a bigger field called, let's say, AI, right? So this is called artificial intelligence, right? You guys definitely we would be like really familiar with it because we are living in the era of AI, right? So AI tools have become like really advanced, right? But AI essentially refers to building capabilities in a machine, right? Which can exhibit some sort of intelligence, right? So let's say even if it's a simple robot, right, which follows a simple line, right? If it's a simple robot which follows a line, it can be called an AI, right? Or maybe a bulb, a smart bulb, right, which recognizes my input and changes the color based on what I'm trying to say, right? So that can be called an AI. So overall, any system, right, where we were trying to more or less evoke some sort of, let's say, intelligence, which is suited for a specific task, that is called an AI, right? Now within AI, we have another domain. In fact, what I'll do, wait a second. So अलग कलर से लिखते हैं. You guys will be able to understand it better. So, so now within AI, we have another field called ML, right? So this is called ML. So ये हो गया AI, right? So this is AI, ये AI है, and now this is ML, right? So ML is an acronym for machine learning, right? You guys would know about it. Machine learning is again a field, right, which tries to automate decision making, right? Or maybe what we are trying to do essentially is we are trying to teach machines how to think, how to reason, or how to take decisions overall, right? So if I overall so I do away with my responsibility of decision making and I entrust my machine that, hey, can you make decision on your own, right? So based on a given input, can you make a certain decision on this, right? So let's say I was working in credit risk I worked in credit risk for 3 4 years, right? So there you can have a requirement. So let's say there is a bank called as SDFC Bank. Almost lakhs of people would are applying for a loan application at SDFC every day, right? So it is not possible for, let's say, a team of humans to underwrite or approve or reject all those lakh applications, right, manually. So overall, we can train our machines to basically really become good at that task, which is where they get the loan application data and they tell the decision of whether this application is going to be approved or rejected, right? So that is one application overall, right? So essentially what we are trying to tell machines that, hey, I am trying to impart some intelligence in you via some certain process, let's say, called training. And by that process you can start taking automated decisions, and you can make decisions, right, which mimic human intelligence to some level, right? So this is what machine learning is about. So machine learning is a field within AI, right? So of course machine learning deals with, let's say, complex algorithms, right? But AI is, it could be any simple algorithm, right? It can be a simple rule, but it, if the machine is able to do a simple task, it will be called an AI, right? So let's say a robot which follows a line, right? So I might not need to develop a very complex algorithm to actually do that task, right? But it can be called AI to some extent, because like how a human walks or let's say an ant, it walks on a line. My robot is also able to do the same, right? So just give me a second. Okay, so this is what we know as ML. Now within ML, right? Within ML we have another domain, right? Within ML we call this deep learning, right? So this is called deep learning, right? So what is deep learning? So deep learning is a discipline within machine learning, right, which has born out of existence on top of a single machine learning algorithm called neural networks, right? So neural networks के ऊपर एक पूरा फील्ड ही बन गया, राइट, जिसको कहते हैं डीप लर्निंग, राइट? सो देयर इज अ whole field, right, which is built on top of a single machine learning algorithm, right, neural networks, and they're like really powerful, and they are able to do any sort of task today that we earlier thought were more or less impossible, right? So I can ask my machine by just saying something in my voice, it understands that and it performs that kind of action, right? Or maybe I can ask it to, hey, write an email to, let's say, my professor, and it will write an email, right? So you deep learning has caused a lot of advancement, especially in the field of AI, because the algorithm in play, which is neural networks, right? It has been an incredible discovery, right? And they were of course discovered almost 50, 60 years back, right? And people started building on top of it. Only lately we have been able to see a lot of their applications, because um, training deep learning models require a lot of computations, and only in the last 20 years we have been able to achieve that amount of compute required for training all these deep learning models, right? So this is how essentially all these jargons more or less fit in, right? So and then of course data science. So let's say if you have wait a second. So now I want to talk about where data science sort of fits in this particular picture, right? So so now in data science overall, wait a second, what's happening? Okay. So now data science is more or less this particular field, right? Which intersects all this field, right? So let's say any amount of work that you do in deep learning or in machine learning, or even let's say you're using some data to build very simple AI, right? That is what we can also call. So this is let's say uh, this is data science, right? And then with data science we can have another let's say field called domain knowledge, right? So domain knowledge essentially refers to the understanding of the business or of the domain that where you are working in, right? So this is how we can sort of deconstruct the entire picture. So is everyone able to understand this so far? Are you able to get an idea what is it that we are talking about? So ML क्या है, AI क्या है, data science क्या है? Are you guys able to get some idea? Can you yeah, do a thumbs up or maybe mention in the chat as yes, right? Okay, awesome, awesome. All right, guys, right? So now so what we want to next understand is basically the data science roadmap, right? So how the data science roadmap should look like, and how should I go about yeah, understanding or building data science skills, right? So let's talk about that, right? So let's talk about so data science roadmap, right? So that is what we want to really discuss. So data science roadmap, right? So how does the regular data science roadmap looks like, right? So overall, what you need to do is start with, you need to start with Python skills. So you learn basics of Python. So this is more or less from the programming side of things. So you learn Python, become, you don't have to become a Python developer, but basics of Python should be clear, right? Because Python is probably the best language to do it, to do data science today, right? So even the top researchers, right, across the world, they're using Python for doing any kind of work, right? So that is how you start with, you get some understanding of Python, right? Then you get some understanding of data analysis in Python, right? So data analysis in Python, so this is where let's say you get familiar with libraries such as pandas, numpy, some visualization library, let's say such as seaborn or matplotlib, right? So this is what you do, right? So you understand the basics of Python first, right? And then you learn about how to do basic data analysis in Python, right? So let's say if you're given a data set, right? So now using Python, what kind of insights and what kind of analysis that you can do, which is what we're calling as data analysis, right? So once you have understood this, right? Next step is to understand SQL, right? Why SQL? SQL is short for structured query language, right? So structured query language, right? So this is what SQL stands for. SQL is important, right? Because you, if you are doing data science, right, the first question that you are going to ask yourself is, where is my data, right? So let's say if I want to work on let's say credit risk, but where is all this data related to credit, right? Loan का data कहाँ पे है, applications का data कहाँ है? So SQL is a really good medium to essentially understand where your data is located and how to query your data, right? So let's say you want let's say in your system you have 20 years of his loan application data, but you want to only consider, let's say, the loan data for the last year, right? So you need to have a mechanism so that you can query the exact data that you are looking to work on, right? So SQL is important, right? It helps you query data based on whatever that you need, right? So SQL is important. So SQL is a very important skill that you need to understand, because if you want to actually do data science, the first thing is to actually make sure that your data is there, right? So if you don't know how to get your data or what should be your data, right, then you are in a in some difficult areas overall. So SQL is important because you want to gather your data, you want to collect your data, and usually what happens that in companies their data resides in let's say it could be of course other kind of databases, but primarily SQL databases are like the most popular database across the world. Of course there are like other databases such as MongoDB, NoSQL databases, right? But we only need to concern ourselves with relational database, of which SQL is an example, right? So this is important. This is the next thing that you need to understand. Next is, right, so after you have, let's say, done understood SQL, right, now of course you need to have good understanding of, let's say, I would say, to do some sort of let's say data visualization, right? So let's say if you are an analyst or a data scientist, right, you should be able to do good visualization. And here I'm talking about tools such as Excel आना चाहिए, Excel सबको आना चाहिए, थोड़ा Tableau आ जाएगा. So ऐसे करके, so Tableau and Excel, or of course you already would have done data visualization in Python, but you should know how to represent or visualize a particular data, right? So let's say you are trying to show a team, right, which through a graph which is trying to answer a very important question. So the way you convey that information through your dashboard or through how you're reporting, that has to be like really good, right? So a data analyst or data scientist, they are good at understanding and visualizing data, not to just understand themselves, but also to communicate this idea to anyone in their team, right? So any, if I want to understand or tell anyone that hey, this is what is happening, so probably if I am good at visualizing that data, everyone in my team will be able to understand and comprehend what is happening, right? So one second, okay. So now, what is the next step, right? So next step is we want to really understand stats and maths, right? So stats and a bit of maths, right? So these are called foundational maths, जिसमें मैंने बोला कि calculus हो जाएगा, थोड़ा linear algebra हो गया, and then probability and statistics, right? So this is what you need to learn, right? Because see, why statistics? So earlier when machine learning was not popular, right? So let's say, let's look back at 60, 70 years earlier, right? So people, let's say if we wanted to do any kind of science on a data, they were primarily doing statistical science, right? Because that was the only tool available to us then. And even though it is a science, it is a scientific method in a way, right? But it does not solve a lot of problems, right? Statistics and also makes a lot of assumptions about your data, so that is not very useful. So statistics was the, of course, the regular way to do any kind of, let's say, data science, maybe 50 years back or 40 years back. But now, because of the advancement in machine learning, right, we are able to do much better, right? So now, to understand machine learning, you need to have very basic idea of foundational maths. So थोड़ा calculus समझ में आना चाहिए, थोड़ा probability and statistics, right? So this is what I feel is required to understand machine learning to depth. And of course, let's say if you want to do some statistical science, because see, as an analyst, if you don't know ML, that is still okay. But if you're able to use statistics to gain insights which are useful for the business, then you're doing well, right? So statistics alone is not the entire data science, but it is at the core of it, right? So that is something that you need to learn, right? And then the last thing that you need to learn is basically machine learning, right? So machine learning आपको आना चाहिए, right? So that is the last thing in our roadmap that we want to cover. At least, so this is a roadmap that I'm telling you. It is, let's say, with respect to a fresher analyst or a fresher data scientist. So that is what the roadmap I am talking about, right? Of course, um, uh, apart from machine learning, you can be really good at, let's say, data engineering or machine learning engineering or even deep learning, right? So all of this, these are advanced topics. So once you have a good understanding of these things, right, then only I think you should jump onto those kind of topics, right, which are available in our specialization track. So so this is the more or less a very simple roadmap of how to go about learning data science, right? So is this roadmap clear, guys? कुछ समझ में आ रहा है? Are you able to understand what you need to do to become a good data scientist? Hmm? Okay. All right. So now what we want to discuss next is basically the job roles and the skills which are required for doing well, let's say, in this career, right? So I've, of course, given you a good idea about the skills that you need to possess, like Python आना चाहिए, or data analytics, data analysis in Python, some SQLs, Excel, Tableau, some stats and maths, and then a bit of machine learning, right? So this is the standard ideal data science roadmap. So now I want to talk about the different data science roles, right? So data science, or hang on, I will write this as, so roles in data science, right? So now let's try to understand. So the first thing that we, of course, understand is, let's say, the role of a data analyst, right? So data analyst is a really popular profession. This is how I feel anyone who is interested in doing data science in industry, they should ideally start as a data analyst, because you get to understand a lot about how this works in industry, right, in your company or in any business you are part of, right? So data analyst is a very common role in data science. So now what I want to do is basically create the spider chart. So I'll just give you an idea, right? So let's say, so this is, right, so let's say this is a hexagon I have, and at the center, so now at each vertices I will just mention this skill, right? And let's say so this starts from 0, this is at 10, let's say. So now let's say this skill is SQL, for example, right? This skill is, let's say, Python, right? So now let's say this is maybe stats, right? This is, let's say, visualization, right? And then let's say this is machine learning, for example, ML. And then let's say I would also say, for example, business or communication overall, right? So we can maybe take like business knowledge, right? So now let's try to understand what we are trying to do here, right? So I will just, yeah. right. So now let's look at this, right? Right, so ये क्या है, ये समझते हैं डेप्थ में, what are we trying to do, right? So let's say, so मान लो कि अगर सीक्वल वाला ये पकड़ते हैं, right? So let's pick up this, right? So this is, let's say, so ये मान लो कि 10 है स्किल लेवल एंड ये 0 है, right? So कितना आना चाहिए डेटा एनालिस्ट को, so वो हम लोग ट्राई कर रहे हैं समझने का ओवरऑल, right? So that is what we are trying to understand, right? So now, for a data analyst, how much of SQL में कितना आना चाहिए उनको on a scale of 10? How much should they know on a scale of 10? So what I feel, a data analyst should be around, let's say, 7, right? So 7 होना चाहिए उनको यहाँ पे. So 7 तक होना चाहिए on SQL, right? Now, how good should they be in Python? So I would say 6. So 6 in Python. So hang on. So I'm just now annotating this with the actual skill. So 7, 6. Now, how much statistics should a data analyst know? As in a standard data analyst should know how much of stats. So I would say that they should know like 7 again. So 7, agar on a scale of, let's say, 0 to 10, right? If you are at 7 on stats, then you are doing good as a data analyst, right? So this is my stats. Now, as a data analyst, I should be like really good with visualization, right? Because I know how to interpret or how to even convey some idea or an insight, right? So I would encourage that this should be 8. This should be 8, right, on visualization. Now, data analysts, they should not know a lot of ML, honestly, right? Because it will not be a core part of your job. So I would say that maybe an understanding till 5 in ML, right? So understanding of very basic ML, right, should be fine for a data analyst, right? But now let's talk about business knowledge, right? You should have a really good understanding of business knowledge, right? So let's say this should be 8. So this should be 8, right? So now इसको आप ज्वाइन कर देते हैं, right? So let's see what kind of picture emerges from this. So ये देखो, एक ये हो गया, सॉरी, इसको सही से बनाते हैं, because this is very important for you to understand, right? So you don't have to know everything, right? But you have to know things in like in that proportion so that you can do better, right? So now this is 7, this is 8, this is this, and then this is this, right? So this is how the spider chart of your skills for a data analyst looks like, right? So you don't need to know a lot of, let's say, ML. You don't need to know a lot of, let's say, even you shouldn't be like really good in Python programming, right? So if you know basics, that should be fine, but you don't have to be like very exemplary Python programmer, right? So this is how the spider chart or the skill chart for a data analyst looks like, right? So is everyone able to comprehend this chart? Is everyone able to comprehend this chart, guys? Can you mention in the chat? समझ में आ रहा है आप लोग को क्या बताया जा रहा है? Okay, so basically this is a good let's say, this is this is a very ideal skill set for a good data analyst, right? So now we can do the same thing for a data scientist as well, right? So data scientist को क्या होना चाहिए, कितना क्या आना चाहिए data scientist को? So let's go ahead, right? So of course data scientist थोड़े से advanced होते हैं, उनको थोड़ी ज़्यादा चीज़ें आनी चाहिए, but I'll just mention. So let's say data scientist. Python थोड़ा important तो है, पंकज. Yes, Python I think you should know a bit, even though you are not like really exceptional, but you should know the basics. All right. So now data scientist का समझते हैं, उनका कैसा दिखता है, right? So मान लो again I will make the same thing, right? I will not mention the access again, or maybe I'll just mention so SQL हो गया, Python हो गया, right? What else did we have here? So Python, SQL, stats, right? visualization, ML, and then business knowledge, right? So now अब देखो, अब यहाँ पे कितना कितना होना चाहिए, राइट? सो लेट्स से, राइट, सो एक बार फिर समझते हैं इसको. So we don't need to learn R, Preetham. We don't need to learn R. We just need to stick to Python only, right? So Python is going to provide us all the tools, everything, all the utilities, so that we can do good data science. Okay. Don't think about R. Forget R. Okay. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to learn R, and that's why I'm not also telling you R about R. So R नहीं आना चाहिए आप लोगों को. Python करो. Python is enough, right? So Python has the biggest community, right? So let's stick to Python, I think. Okay. So now for a data scientist, they should know good SQL. So I would say 8. They should know good Python. I would again say 8. Good stats, again 8. Visualization, I think 8 again. For ML, again 8. And business knowledge, I feel ki 7 is still fine, right? So now the bar for a data scientist is relatively higher, right? And and if you can see, right, so this is a relatively bigger requirement than a data analyst, right? Because here what you're supposed to be, you're supposed to excel in almost all of the areas that I've mentioned in this spider chart, right? So of course, as a fresher, it's not, of course I would not say it's impossible, but it's unlikely that you're going to master every thing in, let's say, in the next 5 6 months, right? So I would say that if you're a fresher, you're trying to get into this field, try to become a data analyst first. Of course, if you're able to do well in all these areas, then no one is stopping you from becoming a data scientist, right? But overall, you should be really well skilled across all areas, right? So only this is where I am seeing, but this chart is relatively bigger, right? So the amount of skills, or the quanta of skills that you should know as a data scientist with respect to an analyst is relatively higher. ठीक है? तो डेटा साइंटिस्ट बनना थोड़ा और डिफिकल्ट है, बिकॉज यू नीड टू डू बेटर ऑन ऑल ऑफ द एरियाज. बट uh, uh, but of course it requires a bigger commitment, right? So I would encourage that you try to start out as a data analyst, right? Or if you're lucky, you can always start out as, let's say, associate data scientist or junior data scientist, and then you try to move your way through. Okay. All right, all right. So, and I think और भी बहुत सारे roles होते हैं. So not only data scientist or data analyst, right? But data engineer भी होता है, right? So आपने सुना होगा maybe data engineer, right? So of course there are like other roles like ML engineer भी है, right? ML engineer भी है, or maybe let's say or for example you can also have an NLP engineer, right? और AI engineer भी बोलते हैं आज के डेट में, AI engineer भी होता है, right? बहुत सारे ऐसे ऐसे करके रोल्स है आपके पास, राइट? सो दे कुड बी समवन हु कैन आल्सो बी कॉल्ड अ डेटा साइंस कंसल्टेंट, राइट? सो of course these are the different names, but specifically about data engineer, right? So let's try to also construct the requirement for a data analyst, right? And this is something, so for people who are not really, who do not like a lot of maths, right, but they are really well in, let's say, programming. So data engineering might be one of the good areas that you can focus on, right? So let's say this is SQL, this is Python, right? This is stats again, this is visualization, this is ML, and then this is domain knowledge, right? So now अब इसका देखते हैं, इसका क्या कहानी है, right? So for data engineer, right? So I would say for data engineer, SQL should be almost 9 or 10, right? So I would say 9, right? So SQL should be 9 overall. So इतना होना चाहिए आपका SQL. Now Python, because you're going to do a lot of work in Python, so I think you should also be 9 in Python for a data engineer, I'm saying, right? So this is what we are more or less focusing on. Now you shouldn't know a lot of stats to be a good data engineer, right? So maybe let's say even if you're a 5 or 4, so that is fine, right? So let's say, so this is what you are in stats. Now in data visualization, again, as a data engineer, maybe you don't need to know a lot of visualization, so you can be with content with five, let's say, right? So you can be content with five. Now, again, as a data engineer, you don't need to know a lot of ML, right? So machine learning, probably if you are at, let's say, again, four or five, that should be fine, right? So maybe four or five. No, some थोड़ा मोड़ा तो लीनियर रिग्रेशन लॉजिस्टिक रिग्रेशन समझ में आना चाहिए, but you don't need to be an expert in machine learning, right? So I will encourage 4 or 5. And then domain knowledge, I feel कि थोड़ा होना चाहिए आपको, थोड़ा at least, because you are essentially building the data pipeline, data infrastructure for your business as a data engineer. So you should have good domain understanding. I would say 7 again, right? So now you can see that data and being a data engineer, right? Uh, it doesn't require understanding of all the skill sets, like unlike a data scientist, right? But if you're really good on SQL and Python, right, you have almost won the game, right? So you can become a good data engineer. Of course, you need to have a good understanding of, let's say, cloud. थोड़ा सा क्लाउड का आइडिया होना चाहिए ओवरऑल, राइट? बट एंड दैट इज व्हाट वी आर आल्सो टीचिंग इन स्पेशलाइजेशन ट्रैक. But data engineer is more or less a engineering heavy role. You don't need to know ML or stats or visualization. Even let's say lesser domain knowledge is also okay. But if you are programming or engineering heavy, then data engineer would be a good role for you to have, right? प्लीज कंसिडर रोड मैप टू 50 LPA फ्रॉम फ्रेशर. तो वो भी हम लोग डिस्कस करते हैं, वो भी रोड मैप अभी बताते हैं, राइट? कि कैसे आप 50 लाख की सैलरी तक पहुंचोगे, कैसे स्टार्ट कर सकते हो, एंड कैसे आप ग्रो कर सकते हो ओवरऑल, राइट? एंड आई विल ट्राई टू बी लाइक रियली रियलिस्टिक विद दैट एज वेल. Okay, so is everyone able to understand the skill requirements for data analyst, data scientist, data engineer and all? Is everyone able to understand this? Yeah, can I get some thumbs up, guys? Right? So cool. So now let's try to actually answer that question, as in salary wise क्या दिखेगा मेरा trend, right? So salary wise, salary roadmap क्या है मेरा, right? So skill तो बता दिया आपने, right? So but salary का क्या है scene? And this is like a very important question, I think everyone would have, right? So a lot of people would have, right? So how much would I start earning, right, in the beginning of my career, right? So I'll also tell you how the regular path would be. So let's say this is the timeline. Let's say this is what we are today. So let's say this is actually years of experience, for example, right? So on the x-axis we have years of experience. So let's say this is year 0, this is year 1, for example, this is, let's say, year 2, right? This is, let's say, year 3, this is year 4, for example, and this is, let's say, year 5, and let's say this is year 6 and plus, right? So now, at the beginning of your career, right, this is where you are. Where are you, right? So you are at this point in the beginning of your career, right? So probably what I should do is, hang on, right. So your starting salary could be, let's say, if you are starting out as a data analyst, right? So your starting salary could be, let's say, something like 5 to 6 LPA, right? This is the standard data analyst salary that you will get if you are, let's say, if you have some experience in a domain or in industry, even though you have not done any even if you have done non-tech work, still I think you can get more than 6 LPA, but this is the usual way to begin with, right? And let's say you are a data analyst at this point, right? So now in the industry you work, right? So let's say you join a company as a data analyst, and then, you complete 1 year. So probably they will give you, let's say, some promotion, right? Some hike on your existing salary. It could be maybe 10%, 15%, 20%, but your salary will increase a bit. Let's say if you're in the same company, and maybe they will increase your salary to maybe 8 LPA, right? So this is what you can expect, or maybe 7 to 8 LPA, right? So not a lot of companies, they give like really great hike, or in fact, because the denominator is low, So giving even let's say 15 10% hike only let's say results in 7 to 8 LPA, right? So this is at the end of year one, right? So this is a here also you are a data analyst, right? Maybe you can get a promotion such as let's say senior data analyst or something like that, but it usually you'll get the hike, but your role will be let's say data analyst because एक ही साल हुआ है, right? Let's be honest, companies would not want to promote you that soon, right? So statistical programmer, okay, I'll talk about that as well, right? But that is also as a समझो data analyst ही है, okay? Data analyst ही है statistical programmer भी, okay? Now, now let's talk about this, right? So now year two में अब क्या होगा? So for example, you make a switch in this year, right? So let's say you switch another company, right? And now here because you have good data analyst and you are a data analyst already, you know ML, right? You have certain data science skills, so you try to switch to a DS role, right? So यहाँ पे let's say in year two you become a data scientist at a company, right? And so you become a data scientist at a company, they would offer you something close to let's say 11 to 12 LPA, for example, right? So this is something that they can and of course it can be bigger as well. Let's say if your negotiation skills are good, you have done well in the interview, you can ask them 13 14 LPA or even 15 LPA, right? So maybe it's range, I'll just update again. So something, so I'm trying to give you like a really honest picture, right? That is at the end of the second year of your career, right? You can expect around 12 to 14 LPA salary, right? Which is good enough, right? Now in let's say you work in that company, you again let's say at the end year 3, right? You're as data scientist only at the year 3, but you can get some hike, right? Let's say in that same company, or maybe you can make a switch. Now your salary could be around easily 18 LPA, right? So at the end of year 3, right? So now you do 2 years of data science work. So you start at this end of the second year, you expand around 2 years in as a data scientist, right? So now we are at y is equal to 4. So now let's say you make another switch here also. So you make a switch to another company. So now you can demand a good salary now. So at the end of the 4 year, right? So you can demand something close to 25 LPA, right? And here you can become a lead data scientist or senior data scientist, right? So you can become a senior data scientist, or let's say it can be data scientist, but they give you better salary like 25 LPA, right? You spend a year maybe in that company again, they give you let's say 10 15% hike, whatever, or 20%. You can go up to let's say 30 LPA, let's say by your year 5. Okay. Now by year 6, like let's say you get promoted to maybe lead data scientist, or maybe you are a data scientist, or maybe you make another switch, or you stay in the same company, you will eventually at the end in your 6th year, right? आपका salary 35 to 40 LPA हो तो जाएगा पक्का, right? So now maybe, so of course this is the standard or the general routine. Of course some people who let's say who are exceptional, they can get to maybe 30 LPA in only in your let's say third or fourth year, right? Or maybe let's say some people can get to 50 plus LPA in their 6th year directly. But this is how usually the progression is, right? So you need to have a really good understanding of how you're going to go about, right? So you don't have to panic in the beginning of the career, right? Because ab dekho, let's say if you took a job of let's say uh, some other job, right? So let's say you became maybe a lawyer, or maybe let's say you became something else, right? You didn't pick data science, but इतना जो प्रोग्रेशन है, राइट, विद इन 6 साल के अंदर 5 लाख से, राइट, इट वेंट टू 40 और इवन मोर, राइट? दिस इज अ गुड प्रोग्रेशन, राइट? सो आई एम एबल टू do some 8x salary from the beginning, right, or relative to the beginning. So initially I'm earning only let's say 5 lakhs or 6 lakhs, but then I keep making the effort, I keep learning new things, right? I keep evolving myself. Then I can see that hey, I can earn something like 40 LPA or 50 LPA at the end of 6th year, right? So is this picture clear to everyone? समझ में आ रहा है कि कैसे ट्रेजेक्टरी होगी, right? So you're not going to become millionaire let's say very soon, right? but of course it takes a lot of time, right? Up time invest karoge, invest some 4 5 years, I'm pretty sure you'll have be having salary more than 30 lpa, right? 30 lpa is not bad, right? You're getting almost 2 lakhs in hand. And uh, and and that is good enough to lead a really good life, right? You can save some, you can invest some, you can take care of daily needs, you can also take care of your family and your, let's say if you have a spouse, so you can take care of them, right? So this is the salary roadmap, more or less what we see. All right. All right, so now let's look back. So what we were supposed to discuss, so maybe hang on, I'll just clear this frame. Okay. So now what we want to discuss is how to excel in industry, right? So we have looked at job roles and the career roadmap and everything, right? So now my another question is how to excel in industry, right? So this is where again I will, let's say, uh, place some emphasis on this bit only, right? So how do we go about, right? So let's say you you become a data analyst, let's say, in a bank, right? So एक बैंक में या एक finance sector में आपने job ले लिया, right? So as a data analyst, right? So I would encourage that it would be worthwhile that you stick to the same domain, right? Stick to the same domain for the next 2 3 years, right? So spend at least 2 3 years in a single domain, right? So let's say you're working as a data analyst at, let's say, American Express or maybe at SDFC, right? So spend time with the same within the same domain, right? So let's say even if you're switching, so you can switch from SDFC to maybe ICICI, right? And you're more likely to get hired at ICICI because you have worked at SDFC, right? So not only you have your data science skills, but you have that domain skill, right? And as an employer, it will be easy for me to sort of fit you into the team, right? Because I know that you already have some good understanding of the business and the process and all, right? So stick to a domain at least for 2 3 years, right? That way you will become a very niche data scientist, right? Where you'll become almost irreplaceable in a way, right? So you know how to work your way around, let's say, a particular business problem in a particular domain, in a particular industry. So that is a very good skill asset, right? They go, sir, it's difficult to get data science, data analyst jobs. So I'll be honest, right? It's difficult, but it's not that difficult like UPSC, right? So UPSC में क्या है? 1,000 seats है, right? There are only 1,000 seats in UPSC, for example, right? सो लेट्स से अगर आप देखो यूपीएससी में 1,000 सीट्स है, राइट? एंड हाउ मेनी, लेट्स से, सीट्स, एंड व्हाट्स द फ्रीक्वेंसी एवरी ईयर? सो हर साल ये रहता है, राइट? बट इन डेटा साइंस, right, in data science you'll have more than 5 lakhs plus jobs every year, right? 5 lakhs plus jobs every year. So let's say every year you have these many jobs which are available in the market. So कुछ पोजीशंस रिफिल होते हैं, कुछ नए आते हैं रिक्वायरमेंट्स, बट इतने जॉब्स है, राइट? सो of course there are so many aspirants, so a number of aspirants in data science is of course greater than, let's say, 2 million or 3 million, right? So number of aspirants is like way too high in data science, right? But your focus should be uh, how do I become in the top, let's say, 1 2 lakhs, right? How do I become an analyst or a data science professional who is in the top 1 to 2 lakhs, right? So top 1 to 2 lakhs mein hai, your job is guaranteed, right? So even though the job market could be difficult, right? But if you are in this top 1 to 2 lakhs, you will have a guaranteed job, right? So unlike UPSC or any government exam where you have like very limited seats, right? So now uh, with, let's say, data science jobs, let's say aaj nahi hai, so there will be a new job next day or maybe next week or maybe next month, right? But you don't have to wait for a very long period, right? So jobs are continuously there, right? So some jobs, so some weeks might be tight or something like that, right? So but you have to keep trying, and you have to focus at how do I become in the how do I get in the top 3 lakhs or top 2 lakhs of all data science professionals in India, right? And then by that you'll have a guaranteed job. Okay. right? So this is what I'm trying to tell you, right? So you need to understand the bigger picture, right? So there is, the cake is so big, right? The cake is so big that you can always take some pie of it, right? You just have to be present near the cake. That's what I'm telling you, right? And how would be you would be present near the cake when you have actually that kind of skills, right, which talks about yourself, right? Okay, cool. So I hope you guys are now able to get an idea about how to think about the data science roadmap, right? So I'll be sharing the PDF again. So now what I want to talk about is our flagship data science course, right? So whatever that we have discussed, so what you can do, so basically, so I will share this tab. You just need to click on sign in. You will come to this grow platform, right? So you'll come to this grow platform, right? So now let's look at the curriculum for data science, right? So let's say for the regular program, and we'll also discuss for the master's program that we are offering. Okay. So now, yeah. So the first module is going to be really focused on teaching you Python, right? So first module is more or less about Python. So this is what you are going to learn. Each module will take you relatively around a month to complete. So the first module you learn Python. In the second module you learn data analysis in Python, right? Which we are calling as numerical programming in Python. In the third module you learn about SQL, right? So advanced in so beginner, advanced, intermediate, all kind of SQL queries you'll be able to write by module 3. In module 4 you're going to learn about data visualization and all, right? And so I would also encourage, let's say if you want to explore something, so you can directly go to a lesson. So let's say data types in Python, I can go to this lesson and I can see that these are the lesson activities that I can do. So maybe if I go to concept, right, this takes a bit of time to load, but you can click view collab and you can share, see how we are uh, uh, what kind of material that we are using to teach in class, right? You also have a video available, then you can take code and quiz at the end of the class, right? So this is how the platform more or less looks like. But coming back to the module, so fourth module is on data visualization using Excel, Tableau, and Power BI. So that is what you'll learn. And in fifth module you learn about stats and maths overall, stats and maths. And then in the last module, which is the sixth module, you learn about ML, right? So you're not going to learn everything in ML because machine learning itself is a very huge field, but we are teaching you that kind of ML which is required for you to get a really good, let's say, fresher data science job, right? Or you can also get a good data science job, let's say if you are already a data analyst. uh, but if you complete this, you'll have a much better understanding of how ML works, right? Now in specialization track, right? So this is of course open to the master students. It's not open to, let's say, if you're enrolling in the premier or iconic plan, so you'll not have access to it. But if you just look at the module 1, it is more about how to manage your machine learning infrastructure on production, right? How to put your machine learning models to production. So you learn about ML ops fundamentals, model deployment, then Apache Airflow, right? So you'll be learning how to set up DAGs and all, right? Then module 2 is on distributed machine learning. This is a lot of concepts are they belong to data engineering, right? So we discussed about that earlier. So all of that, so Spark, PySpark, everything we are teaching in this module. In the third module, which is advanced machine learning, we are discussing advanced machine learning concepts and techniques, which we were not able to cover in the foundation track, right? Because you understand foundation track ML curriculum is going to equip you with only foundational skills, right? So for advanced skills, these are there in your third module. Then in the fourth module of specialization track, you're going to learn all about deep learning. And then you in the fifth module, sorry, wait a second. Yeah, in the fifth module, right? So in the fifth module, you're going to learn about deep learning for computer vision, right? So computer vision is again one of a really popular field in machine learning, and this is what you're going to learn. And the last module is deep learning for NLP, right? So here you'll essentially learn how to build your own GPT, right? So how to build your own, let's say, chat GPT in a way. So this is the kind of things that you'll be working and learning in the sixth module, right? Because these are like really modern concepts and they're not very old, only 4 to 5 years old, right? So we're teaching all of them. We're also using a lot of, let's say, chat GPT along the course to make it more friendly to you, right? So you don't have to learn all the syntaxes and all, right? So one of the most important things that we're going to teach you in the course is how, what to do, right? So that is going to be your primary focus, what you should be doing rather than how you should be doing it, right? So let's say you know how to solve, you know what to solve for, then you can always figure out how to solve, right? So you can ask chat GPT or do a quick Google search, but you can get all the idea, right? So this is more or less the specialization track. So this is primarily for people who are enrolling in masters, but here you'll get a lot of really advanced understanding of advanced concepts. Okay. Okay, cool. So I think someone is saying, sir, I am for web development. This event was primarily to focus on data science career, but I think, yeah, I'll be happy to discuss the web development with you. Let's say, I think Pratiksha, yeah, we can give Prasanjit some overview. Maybe we can, you can get him connected with me as well, right? So if you have to join for master's program after we finish the foundation track, so you don't need to do anything again, right? So once you have completed it, it's showing 100% complete in your dashboard. You don't have to redo it. All right, Harsh. So I hope, yeah, that is clear, right? So this is the curriculum overall. Now there are a lot of other things that you'll see. So in your classroom, you'll be seeing all your, let's say, all the upcoming classes. You can see the who is the instructor, when is the class. You can also add to calendar so that you don't forget. You can also see all your upcoming classes, completed classes. You can ask your doubt in the community forum, so you can click here. You can always view the recording of the class, and this is available like within an hour of class conclusion. Okay. We'll also ask you to give a feedback on the class so that we can have the best people teaching you. So your feedback really matters, and this will be open like within 24 hours of session completion. All right. Now you also have, you can always access your classes from here as well, right? So this is again similar to the Airmeet event that we are using. Another thing is the cohort leaderboard. So you can see on your cohort leaderboard and see who are doing well, so that you can maybe reach out to those folks and gain some guidance with from them, or talk to them, right? So this is part of the community. You can also see how the leaderboard more or less works. So how are we getting giving points and all. Next is, you have a lot of things to practice, right? So these are not mandatory, these are not compulsory, but you can practice a lot of questions, right? So let's say this is a question on Armstrong Award, right? So you can go ahead and do a lot of things that you want to do, right? So you can have a lot of space for yourself. Let's say you want to, let's say, write some code, so you can have a lot of space for yourself, right? So and you can move on from question to question, right? So you can move on from questions, you can see all the questions and directly jump onto another some other questions. So this is the practice arena, right? So now you also have access to coding assessments. So these are bundled coding problems based on different companies which ask, and then there are a lot of quiz assessments as well, right? Then you have projects. You can explore, let's say this is Airbnb bookings analysis. You can click on view project. You can see all the project description. You can see what are the evaluation criteria. So what happens with project, no? So at the end of each module, right, you need to do a capstone project. And these capstone project that you submit will be evaluated by our expert team of evaluators, right, who will evaluate you on all of these rubrics, राइट सो आपका कमेंट कैसा था, लेट्स से गिटहब कमिट करा कि नहीं, वीडियो प्रेजेंटेशन कैसा था, व्हाट्स द final summary of conclusion, how is your exploration part of things, right? How are you handling null values and all, right? So depending on the project type or category, your rubrics will be different. And you can also see the sample presentation video and the final checklist that you need to submit. So once this gets submitted, it gets evaluated by an human evaluator. You'll get the feedback and it will be evaluated within a week or so, right? So this is the projects, and you can explore the projects for all the different modules. Then career bit is there. So of course I'm already enrolled in Almex, but you'll see all your progress track and all. In mentorship, you can go ahead and book a mentorship session. Let's say you want to seek some data science professional guidance, you can go ahead and book a session with a mentor. You can choose, let's say I want to have academic counseling, so you can go ahead and book a session, and you can add your preference for date and time when you want to connect with the mentor. So it will be broadcasted to our group of mentors, whoever accepts, just like let's say how your Uber rides gets accepted, so they will accept, and accordingly you can connect with them. And so usually it takes around 1 or 2 days to get connected with a mentor. You can also get connected if you're lucky on the same day. Then we have a job board. This is where, let's say, you can keep on applying to all the jobs, or maybe you can share with your friends who might be interested. You can get a lot of coins as well. So there is this refer and earn platform. So let's say you find one, let's say, problem really interesting. So for example, let's say this Armstrong award, right? So you find this problem interesting and you feel that, hey, my friend can also solve this, and this would be a good question to sort of brainstorm, right? So you can always share this problem with your friends, and have them come on the platform, have them take an attempt on this question, and you can discuss it, right? And you can do so for any kind of, let's say, learning resource that's available with us, right? So this is designed to make learning more collaborative, right? Because let's say if you're learning the same thing with your friends and you're discussing, so you're going to get more ideas around it. One important other thing is the community platform. So I'll also show you the community platform. You'll also have a community app that you can install from the Play Store. So I will also, so Play Store Alma Better app. So I will just, yeah, show you. So if you go to Google Play, no, so if you go to Google Play, you'll see this Alma Better app, right? So this is a community app, and this is what is the web version looks like. So this is a space to do all your, let's say, random discussions, some focused discussions. So all your community is here, right? So you can chat with your folks or with your friends. So something like that. So basically, Dhanraj, yes, a PostgreSQL is included in the course, right? So the way we will teach Python is we'll use a PG admin overall, right? So we'll use PostgreSQL only. Okay. So domain knowledge, Mukesh, I think it will come from spending time in the industry, right? So maybe you will have some overview of how, let's say, a fintech industry is working, but once you go and work there, right, then only you're going to have more of it, right? Of course, you can read all the literature that's available, but that is there, right? So PostgreSQL is there, Dhanraj. Yes, it is there, right? So we'll teach you SQL using that only. All right, cool. So now this was the community. This is where you can do all sorts of things, right? Interact with your peers and all, because we know that you are not alone. There are a lot of folks other who are trying to let's say achieve the same goal. So connect with them, become friends with them, and you'll feel that okay, yeah, you're able to do a lot of stuff, right? You can see your Alma points, leaderboard, some notifications that we publish, right? And then you can view your certificates and all of your issues, right? One important other thing is the help. This is where you can, let's say, reach out the live support. So this is the live support. So our team of SME is available there. Let's say almost Monday to Saturday, I think, between 12 to 7 p.m. Right? So let's say this is my uh, hang on, wait a second. So of course I think I have access to this, but okay. All right. So this is where you can sort of join different tables. So tables will be available for you, and you can join those tables and start discussing with our team on the go, right? So you can share your video, audio, and screen as well, and you can go ahead and do this, right? So use this. Then you also have a way to report your problems. If you're facing any problem, you can report a problem really quickly. Our team will have a look at it and will try to resolve at the earliest. You can also have an access to this AI chat, right? This is what we built internally. This is a replica of Chat GPT, but with slight tweaks and improvements that we did on the front end side. So you can add all these folders for prompt and all. So this is similar to Chat GPT, and you can take any help related to code, generating code, or explaining code, or whatever that you want to do. So you can use this in our platform. All right. So this is more or less that I wanted to cover, guys, uh, in this class. So now we are happy to take the questions in the Q&A, right? So Pratiksha, probably if you can go ahead and yeah, take the questions which are posted in Q&A. Vaishali, sorry, Pratiksha, are you there? Uh, Hello.
My name is Pratiksha and I am from the admissions team in Alma Better. So I am here to show you slides that how the session is very informative as Vikash already explained whole program. So let me show you again, and someone is asking about the web development program as well. So we'll show you the curriculum as well and we'll tell you about Alma X program for sure. Let's begin. Just let me know once you see my screen. Hope my screen is visible to all.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, this is
So
visible, Pratiksha.
welcome everyone to the master class. So about Alma Better. So here, this how our sessions look like is you will going to study in a groups where you can exchange your ideas, and even if the person is from the freshers background, so they will get more things from the experienced candidate. So here you will be going to study in a group. You will do the projects as Vikash has already shared you in the previous slide that what are the projects that we are covering, and then you will be get ready for the jobs. Now coming on the next part, how our curriculum look like. So here we are, our curriculum is it's from basic to the advanced level. Secondly, all the sessions are live. It's completely live classes that we are providing. So 100 plus live classes is there, which you will be having a lifetime access to recorded lectures as well. That is, the sessions timings are the classes timings are 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. and all the classes are live. It will be a face to face interactions. Then coming on the next part, that is 20 plus capstone projects are included in whole program, where 4 projects will be compulsory. Then for the thousands plus coding problem and assessment is also there. Then you will be having one-on-one doubt solving facility that we have shown you already in our live support, where you can join a table one-on-one. So if you have any doubt, you can join on a daily basis and you can resolve your doubts. Then we have one-on-one mentorship sessions where you can take a one-on-one mentorship. Then we are having 50 plus mock interviews, and you will be having a career, you can say a discussion over everything. Then it's 100% job guarantee program with 700 hiring partners. We'll show you at the end what are the hiring partners that we have. I hope this much is clear to all of you. Then coming on our learning activities, so we have live lectures, projects are there, lab experiments are there, group discussions are there that will be held on regular basis. Then you will be having one-on-one mentorships. We have a guest lecturers as well, and community participation that we have shown. The capstone projects are also included. Coming on this hiring partners, so we have Amazon, we have Vedantu, we have Tech Mahindra, Accenture. So these are the companies that we are have on our platform. So these are the hiring partners that we have. HDFC Bank is there, HSBC is there. So you can all of look the companies. So this is the salary distribution that we have already explained, but still you can see the you can see the slides that we are explaining. So the average package course after the program, it's between 8 to 9 LPA for both the courses, for full stack web development or a data science program. Then just meet our instructors and mentors. So here we have highly professional trainers on our platform who are having 10 to 12 years of experience. So these all are our mentors on our platform. Then these are the success stories. So we have successfully placed 3,000 plus students. We'll show you at the end the ratio that the companies that we have placed and the students in the companies. Student dashboard, Vikash has already shared you the student dashboard. Let me give you the overview again. So this is the dashboard, how your dashboards look like. This is the practice coding assessment that we have just discussed. Then in the
Diksha,
classroom,
I think we are not able to see. I think we are only seeing the slides, I guess.
okay, let me share again. Let me share again. Yeah. Thank you for the confirmation. Yeah, I hope it's visible now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the this is the student dashboard, how it looked like. So we have three type of the program. One is the premium program. Second one is the IIT Guwahati certification, and third one is the masters. So we have three categories. So this is the dashboard that it looked like. Then coming on a learning, here you can see the recorded content. Coming on the classroom, here you can see your updated class. For example, we have a 31st Jan, so you can here see the link, and here from here you have to join the sessions that you have already completed. So you have to click on completed, then you can view the recording. So this is how it works. Then coming on a practice session, so here you will be discussing your coding problems. Everything is there, coding assessment and the quiz assessment. Then coming on a project, so we are having projects where you can see. Then we have career. Here you will play you can just have a look into the Almaic selection, that what is the AB CAT exam and all. Coming on a mentorship, so here you can book one-on-one mentorship sessions. So again, for the job board, you will be having you can here see what are the jobs that are available. So you can directly apply. Even you can share with your friends as well. Like coming on the next part, that is refer and earn. So in this refer and earn, you have to just share the link where you can refer your friend who wants to join, and even you will make a money. So here you can just copy the link, just share with your friends who is looking for the course. So you will get the benefit. Even your friend is also having it that benefit. Coming on the next part, that is help option. So here, this is the live support. If you have any queries or if you have any problem, doubt solving sessions that we have explained, so this is how it works. That is live support. Just click on this. So here you can join the live session like this. So you will enter in our event. I guess I am already there. That's why it's
I think you can just mention your name, no? Just click on enter event. Click on enter event, and I think, yeah, just mention your job title and whatever. Just, I think it's not mandatory. So
I
I
guess
think, yeah.
it's mandatory to log in with the ID same, bro.
Oh, right, right, right. So you need to be logged in, I think, once with Google. But I think I already showed you guys how to
Yeah,
access the live support. All right.
correct. So anyone, if you have any questions, just you can ask.
Right.
You can
So I
continue
think,
as well.
Pratiksha, we can also discuss a bit about the Almax program, no? So I think we have some questions there.
Correct. Let me show that web development part and the certification as well. So again, you can see the screen and just let me know if it is visible. So I can show you that this is the certification of IIT Guwahati. If someone has asked in the chat, so this is the certification that look like. And about the curriculum, so let's discuss. Or for the data science, we have already discussed that we are what we are covering all the programs, that this is the foundation track where you will be learning 6 modules in total. So our course duration is 6 months, which is divided into 6 parts. So you can say each module will contain 1 month. So this is how introduction to computer programming. So here you can just see the all the modules. Then you will be having a specialization track where you need to choose any one of them, and you have to spend 2 months extra. So it will be total 8 months. This is specialization track is optional. If you want to opt for, you can. If you don't want, if you want to skip and directly want to go with the placement part, you can go. This is for the data science, and let's discuss for the full stack web development. So for the full stack web development, it is again the 6 months of the program where we are covering 6 modules in 6 months. So we are starting with introduction to computer programming.
Can you
Everything is
share your
covered.
screen, Pratiksha?
Again, you can't see.
Yeah, I think there was some issue.
Now it's visible to everyone.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So this is the web development curriculum that we are discussing. So it will be 6 modules in 6 months. Each module will contain 1 month. So you will be learning about. Let me give you overview. So we are starting with Java, JavaScript, then HTML, CSS, data structure, front end development, back end development, which includes complete month stack, and then we have this specialization as well, cloud computing, project management. So I hope everything is clear. Now you can ask any questions in the chat box. So I'm here to answer your all queries.
Right. So I think, regarding Almax, guys, so what you need to do, you just need to complete your foundation track. So let's say if you're enrolled in, let's say data science or web development, you need to just complete the foundation track. And once you have done that, you just need to take one test, what we call as EB CAT. And once you have completed those, you will get direct admission into our Almax program. Where so now let's if I want to talk about the Almax, there we are going to help you build your portfolio. So portfolio would include building your resume, building your, let's say, GitHub portfolio. It could be, let's say, even your Medium or YouTube portfolio, because that also gives a lot of good impression on the recruiter side. And then once you have done that, we spend a lot of time preparing you for business communication, because communication is a very important skill that a lot of freshers they overlook, right? So they think that Python likh lenge to ho jayega mera kaam, but you need to be able to articulate and communicate what you're trying to do, right? So let's say if you're interviewing for a particular role, so business communication, how to communicate your ideas to, let's say, the interviewer or to anyone, right? That is what we are teaching as well. Then you will be going through multiple mock interviews, easily 20 plus mock interviews you'll be going through on various topics. And then you'll also be able to do mock interview your entire, let's say, resume and project, right? So that is what we'll do. And these mock interviews will happen with our expert mentors who have more than 8 years 9 years of experience overall. And then once you're doing well in these mock interviews, what we do, we prioritize your profile sharing with our, let's say, selected hiring partners. So what will happen next is you'll be asked to install something called a job application. So it's a job app. It's an app available on Play Store or App Store. So you install it, and then whatever companies in which you are getting shortlisted, you'll be added to those groups, and you can follow the entire interview process through that app, right? So it's very easy. So let's say there's a particular opening for data analyst at, let's say, Novartis. So, and our team would, let's say, would have shared around 7 to 8 profiles for that particular role. So you'll be added into with those people, and based on when and how your interviews are happening, you can share all your resources and communicate around those. Will also help you with, let's say, your assignment help if there are any prior to your actual interview. So we focus a lot on making sure that you're doing well in these interviews, right? Because let's be honest, right? So if you are getting rejected multiple times with our companies, right, that also do not look good from our end, right? Because otherwise companies would not want to hire from us. So we will try to make sure that you are more or less interview ready before we share your profile with our hiring partners, right? So that is it. When your interviews happen, you eventually, let's say, crack in maybe, let's say, 3 to 4 interviews, and then you eventually get the job offer, and then only your, let's say, placement fees begin, right? So that's when you need to pay. So that is the you can check the fees for the Almax program. That is around 2.4 lakhs, right? And that is what you need to pay, let's say, once you have gotten the job, and you can pay those in easy EMIs overall. So that is how the entire Almex looks like. So you need to complete the foundation track, and take the ABCAT test to get into Almex, where we are promising that you'll get a job above 5 LPA, right? So of course, some people get job, let's say, of 7 LPA or 8 LPA or 6 LPA, or some also get jobs of 5 LPA, depending on the role and the opportunity and your merit. But that is the case, right? Some people are also asking about details on play students and their packages. So I think we have listed our alumni in our on our website. So go through the success stories, and try to maybe reach out to these alumni over LinkedIn, right? So they will definitely try to help you out if you are interested in this field. So send them a message over LinkedIn or send them an email, and they will try to help you with all your queries and how the program was. So they will try to share their perspective, their feedback with you overall. So it is 100% placement guarantee once we enter into Almax. Yes, because there hasn't been a student who has entered Almax in our program and hasn't gotten a job, right? So of course it takes some time, right? So for some people we need to invest more effort, right? Because to make them interview ready, it requires a bit of more effort. So time could be, let's say, they might be able to clear their interviews in 3 months instead of 2 months, or maybe they can also take 4 months. But we make sure that as soon as you enter Almax, you get placed within the next 4 to 5 months, right? So that is, but the good candidates, they are able to really get the job within 2 to 3 months, right? So that's why we say that this is 100% placement guarantee if you are entering into Almax, right? Because um, that is when we can bet on good students, right? So if you have been able to complete the course, we understand that okay, you have gained some skills, you have put in a lot of effort, so we trust and we can bet on you, right? So that's the whole idea. So go through the packages and the details of the our student who have already gotten placed on our website, and reach out to them over LinkedIn. So I
Correct.
think
And in addition to one more thing I need to tell, so let's discuss about the models that we have. So we have two categories. One is PAP, and second one is the IIT Guwahati certification. So for the freshers, for the students, we recommend to take IIT Guwahati certification because that is more helpful. Secondly, when the consultant and the other people check the profile. So for example, you applied somewhere and they checked on the website. So let me show you the certification as well, and let's talk on that. So this is the IIT certification that we have. That IIT certification gives you more value. How? Let me tell you. So here, IIT certification, everyone knows what is IIT, and that adds a brand value to your resume, to your profile, and for the students who are fresher. So, for example, you are applying for a job. So most of the companies and the consultants search for the people who have done the degree or the certification from the premium institute. So in that case, you will be getting a better chance to get selected in those companies. So that's give you a big advantage where you will be having IIT certification, and you will be having a more, you can say, add up on skills. Plus, we have the guest lecturers from the IIT Guwahati who is going to take your sessions. So you will be getting their knowledge, their experience, and many more things. And so if I talk about our packages, so for the IIT Guwahati certification, we are charging 60,000 plus GST. But right now you have attended this session, so let me tell you, we have a very great offer for all of you. Let me mention about the discounts that we can offer. So you can use this code, so you can avail the discount as well. So this is our code. Just, I guess it's not visible.
You can also, yeah, mention in the
Yeah.
chat. Right.
Yeah, let me mention in the chat as well. So this is the discount code that you can avail a 15% discount straight away on the courses. So we have one premium program which includes 30,000 plus 18% GST. On that you will get, you can use this code and get 50% off. You will save a lot of money. And on the masters as well, you can avail the same discount.
ओके एंड नैना इज आस्किंग मास्टर्स प्रोग्राम की जो डिग्री मिलती है वो सर्टिफिकेट जैसी ही मिलती है क्या सो इट इज अ डिफरेंट फॉर्मेट एंड इट इज इशूड बाय द वुल्फ यूनिवर्सिटी थ्रू
Wolf
व्हिच वी आर
University.
एफिलिएटेड फॉर आवर मास्टर्स प्रोग्राम so this certificate will look in fact more classy I would say and ज़्यादा presentable रहेगा so it's a proper degree that you'll get right and for data science course as well, you can use that coupon code
Yes.
MANG15. I will just also yeah show this on stage. So you can use this coupon code on your checkout page. So you wherever you are seeing enroll now on your dashboard, you click there, and on the coupon code field, you can apply this, and you will get this 15% applied on your entire amount. All right.
Correct.
So
And I have mentioned my email address and the phone number. You can reach me out for any of the counseling session if you want to book one-on-one. We are happy to help you.
right, right.
And
So
this
cool.
discount is only valid till 24 hours. So try to get enrolled as fast as you can and you can avail the discount.
Right, right. So this coupon code is only yeah valid for
It's not
15
working.
for 24 hours. So can you
Uh, yeah, it's working. Let me check. Can you share your email address, please, in the chat?
सो 30,000 पे आप देखो जीएसटी ऐड करोगे सो आप कर लो बेसिकली 1.18 राइट सो वो हो जाता है आपका 35,400 right and then basically you did you so you multiply this again with 0.85 so essentially net you will be required to pay like 30,090 for the premium plan and for the iconic you will be required to pay around 60,180 right is that the correct number Pratiksha
Yes, correct.
right cool so all
So
right
I have checked your email address. We'll get back to you. Allow us some time. So we will get back to you.
Okay. So cool. I think, yeah, we had a really great session today. I hope you guys were able to understand how to essentially build your career in data science, especially in 2024. So I, of course, talked about the roadmap and the skills that you need to acquire, right? And I've, of course, given a really good overview of the entire curriculum and the process. So I hope you guys were able to, yeah, understand most of the stuff which I essentially try to convey. So you can reach out to, of course, Pratiksha later on if you have any issues. So she has already pinged her number, so you can reach out to her and you can talk more about, let's say, if you have any confusion. Cool. So I think this is where we can sort of wrap up this session. So thank you so much, everyone, for attending this. Attending this masterclass on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. So we'll come back another week with an interesting concept or topic for our next masterclass. So if you are interested, you can attend that as well. And if you are convinced, you can go ahead and enroll for the course today. You can apply the coupon code which is already shared, and reach out to our team in case you are facing any issues. All right. So थैंक यू सो मच अगेन गाइस बहुत मजा आया आप लोग के साथ ये सेशन करके होप या वी आई गेट टू सी मोस्ट ऑफ यू इन आवर क्लास so I am taking a lot of classes regularly so if you want to get taught by me. So you can go ahead and enroll, I think, today, right? So cool. All right. Thank you so much. We'll close this session now. Bye.
Yeah,
Take care.
thank
Enjoy your
you.
weekend. Yes, Pratiksha.
Thank you everyone for joining with us. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Jamboard, I think, yeah, before I go ahead, I'm just, yeah, sharing the Jamboard now only. So just give me a second. Just give me a second. So in fact, what I'll do, I will basically copy the link. I will copy the link to this. So you can go through this Jamboard again later. Let's say if you want to revisit most of the stuff that we discussed in today's masterclass. So please go through this. Thank you again. Thanks for joining and thanks for spending your valuable time with us. Hopefully, you're going to become a good data scientist real soon. All right. Thank you so much again. Enjoy your weekend. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you everyone.